Yo, guys, what is up? False Prelate here, and I'm going to give you a bit of an update on my Scourge League starter. So last time, I kind of gave an update of what I was doing on day one, just like going through leveling process with the Demon Herders. The Demon Herders, I did use them all the way through leveling. They are fantastic. Now, GGG did come out and nerf the damage on one of their abilities a bit, and by a bit I mean a lot. They had a beam that was doing like 4,800 base physical damage at like the very top end of red tier maps, which was like a little bit egregious. So they toned that back. It's like 3,600 or something like that now, which is like quite a substantial reduction. However, they didn't touch the mortar, which is like their ability that they fire more consistently, that they get their sustained damage from. So I would say the sustained damage wasn't really touched too much on these guys, and a little bit of the clear was hurt because of the beam changes. But otherwise, the build is feeling really good. So right now, I'm sitting on 38,000 armor, just sitting in town. As soon as I start clicking Molten Shell and my flasks here, I start to get up around 50k armor. So very substantial amount of armor. The reason why I decided to go armor was basically because as I was like looking through the Spectre banks and like kind of like thinking about like what Spectres to use, I was like noticing on PoEDB that like every single Scourge monster has like gigantic physical damage. So that was kind of like the reasoning behind going like full armor on this guy. Now, armor did get a buff this league, and determination especially gets 49% more armor and 1,860 additional armor at this level that I have it at right now, which is crazy. And then on top of that, I've got Radiant Faith, and I am reserving 2,100 life. So it's like 2,100 times like 1.6, so let's say like 3,600 armor. So just between these two things, if I was like sitting on naked gear, I would still have about 10k armor, which is like totally crazy. It's just insane. And then I'm scaling the armor like really heavily with this Skin of the Lords. So this thing is pretty crazy now. It's got +2 level of socketed gems and 100% increased global defenses. And because we're able to put an Empower in here, this boosts just like a general level 20 raised Spectre up to level 26 raised Spectre. And that's only just with the level 3 Empower. Can still get a level 4, and it can still get the 21 gems. So this can come up to 28 just from this setup alone, which is going to be pretty cool. And when I get a +1 Spectre boots, these are just kind of trash boots right now, I'll get it up even further. The goal is to hit maybe like 28, 29 level of Spectres. But that's enough talking from me. I'm going to go in and show you how this build is kind of functioning right now. I have a gigantic amount of regen, so you'll see as I run through the map, the regen will be going crazy. I just have like a basic tier 9 strand here for you. I'm just choosing this one because it's nice and straightforward. It's a short map, so I can show it really quickly in the video. Oh, and it is Valdo's, and I do have, oh here, that's perfect. I have some Sulfite I can pick up. And as I said, I have been farming Delve. Delve is really good, especially in Valdo's with the buffs. All right, let's go on in here. And you can see, oh yeah, so the AoE is really big on these guys right now. I have those 3 minion nodes here that give the increased AoE, and it's a lot. They like way off screen things sometimes. They have great clear, especially inside of the Scourge Nightmare. So let's hit that and we can check it out. So my goal with the Scourge has just been basically to just run through and uncover as much of the map as possible as I'm Scourging. And then basically, you're just like hunting for the Scourge bosses. And the Scourge bosses drop fat loot, so it's definitely really good. As you can see, the clear speed is pretty reasonable, especially for tier 9. Some things get... If they have like a lot of physical damage reduction, there's not really a whole lot you can do about that, but yeah, most things just fall over pretty quickly. Again, I'm not like stopping too much. I'm not like killing everything in the zone when I'm in these nightmares. I'm just kind of like running through and uncovering and hoping I can find a boss. Sometimes I'll kill some stuff along the way, get the extra XP. So the regen is really strong, especially I'm using Petrified Blood, so a lot of the damage that I'm taking, I take over time. And right now, if I'm just like charging through maps, you can see my life regen is between 1500-ish and 3600 if I have the Guardian buff up. This build is definitely very tanky. Okay, I'll turn it off for now. And we'll go in and kill the boss, so you can kind of see like what the boss damage is looking like right now. So again, this is tier 9, so like the single target isn't like the best. Not the best, not the worst. And yeah, that's just a basic, quick strand. Let's just check this one last area here. Make sure there's not a boss chilling. And, oh, hitting some lag. Holy. Alright, and that's basically that. So, let's go into the gearing a little bit. Talk about, like, what my skill tree is looking like and, like, what I've done with the gear. So, right now, I've got a Midnight Bargain Victario's set up. And I do have Necromantic Aegis selected, and I'm basically just trying to scale cast speed as high as I can and just get them like pumping out tons and tons of spells. The way I've achieved this is Radiant Crusade gives Onslaught, and Unwavering Crusade just gives general attack, cast, and movement speed to allies. So these two together is about 40% cast speed. Then we have the minion speed support, and we have Spell Echo, which is a more multiplier for cast speed. So all these things together, it starts to go pretty quick. My main setup here is Raise Spectre, Empower, Energy Leech, Controlled Destruction, Spell Echo, and Minion Speed. So the reason I have the Energy Leech in there is basically these Spectres, they have 100% of life added as Energy Shield. So they always have Energy Shield. I think these Spectres are sitting around probably 100k life, 100k ES, so they never drop below 1 ES, basically. They're basically immortal as soon as you get Energy Leech on them. It's actually crazy. And they're leeching all the time because there's so much damage in Scourge. They're always damaged a little bit, right? But this thing is pretty much a 26% more multiplier, and at the very least it's a 15%. Pretty good. And of course, physical damage spells can be kind of hard to scale. And I have considered going, there's definitely the possibility to go crit on these guys, but I haven't quite got there yet. So I'll talk about some of the other gear I'm using. This is just a basic helm. I'm going to get a Shaper Helm at some point in here to make my zombies super beast mode. I'm using Replica at Series Foible. I picked this up in Heist. These things are pretty crazy because you get the increased life regeneration rate, which is really good with like the Guardian passive and the with Vitality and like all the new regen on the tree. So we've got this regen down here. We've got this crazy new regen cluster over here which is 0.6, 0.6, and then 1.8, but with 15% increased life regen and a life mastery, which is like really good. And then we've got this cluster that was always here. So this is like quite a bit of life regeneration. And that works and synergizes super well with Petrified Blood. Because as long as we don't die to a one-shot, we're just taking that damage over time and we're like mitigating it through the regeneration. Alright, most of the rest of the gear is basically just rares right now. I will probably get, at some point I want to get a the Abyss belt here with the sockets. That'll probably be my next upgrade in this slot, so I can get some interesting minion damage down here. I really want some of my face breakers. I've got basically just a rare ring here, minimum endurance charge on it just for the defense. I've got no way to get charges right now. And boots are just rare. So basically just the core uniques for this build are the Midnight Bargain, Skin of the Lords, and the Victario's Charity. And honestly, you could even use a rare amulet here if you just had some life on, or an amulet with some res, that would be fine until you get something like this. It's not 100% necessary. Yeah, so that's basically the build. I did do a Xoph breach, like a enriched breach stone. So I'll put some of that footage at the end of the video so you guys can kind of like get an idea of what that looks like. This build definitely has like good clear for that kind of thing. The speed is good. I was able to like clear the zone with like 20 seconds to spare, which is like pretty reasonable. And yeah, I might go into depth a little bit later in the video also about some of the specifics of the demon herder themselves. And then one last word is I do have the ebony Spectre MTX on these guys, and it looks really friggin' cool. Like, look at these guys. They have like the red scepter, and then they're all black with the ebony skin. And look at the faces. Like, they've got like a almost like a fly trap like face going on. It's actually so cool. Whoever did the art for this, kudos, as it looks absolutely fantastic. Yeah, so that's basically all I have to say about the build. Again, here's the skill tree if you guys just didn't quite see. This is kind of like what I'm going for right now. Just gotta go slowly down so you guys can see the whole thing. And yeah, that's it. So thanks a lot for watching the video. As I said, I'll put some additional footage at the end, just so you guys can get an idea of where we're at. And I'll probably do a full build guide with like path of building at some point. But right now, there is no demon herder on path of building. I might do like a preliminary one with just like the Risen Vaal advocate, because they're kind of similar in terms of like gems, because they're also physical projectile spells. I might do something like that, but we'll see on that one. So thanks a lot, guys. If you like the video, leave a like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Alright, so let's take a look at the base stats and skills of the demon herders. So their life is really good. The 135,000 at level 84 is really strong. And then, of course, they have 135 energy shield, too. So, like, 270-ish thousand effective life pool before any of your increases. That's pretty crazy. That's, like, a really large amount. And then to top that off, they've got 16k armor, which, of course, you will be buffing as the Guardian. So this number is probably like way higher, probably closer to like 40 or 50 by the time all your Guardian skills are factored in, and your determination aura and whatnot. Accuracy doesn't matter because these are all spell damage hits, so there is no accuracy involved. Base damage is 2,800. But again, that also doesn't really matter too much because that's just their basic attack and they don't do it very often. The main thing that we're looking at is the 2 mortar skills and the beam nuke. So the beam nuke is on a 7-second cooldown, and it deals from 2,000-ish to 3,000-ish damage, which is pretty decent. This is the one I was talking about was nerfed. It was at 4,800 before, which is too much for characters in the game in the Nightmares. And it got reduced down. But even at the level it's at right now, it's still very strong. But this skill, because it's got such a long cooldown, is not the bulk of our damage. The bulk of our damage comes from the Demon Elite Triple Mortar and the Demon Elite Vomit Mortar. So if you look at the tags here, you'll notice it's a spell damage area multi-castable. So you can hook Spell Echo up to it. You can put increased AoE gem on it if you really wanted to get the AoE bigger. You can hook it up to anything that increases spell damage, anything that increases projectile damage, and but specifically projectile spell damage, and it'll increase the damage. And half of the or 25% of all the damage of all the abilities that this minion does is converted to fire damage. So that's kind of unfortunate because it makes it a little bit harder to scale. And some like a lot of the monsters in the game will have fire res, so a little bit of your damage will be mitigated there. There is also the possibility that you could convert all of that damage to fire with Triad Grip, or use a combination of like fire and lightning or something like that to get shocks out. I haven't been playing around too much with like Fleshcraft or a Triad yet, but I do expect I will probably do some sort of conversion at some point. So that's basically it for the like minion itself. And then now I guess I'll just kind of go into this Xoph run that I did. So as you can see, it's clearing pretty well. And by the time we get to the end of the zone, we're just sustaining, like the starting thing is like 24 seconds. We're like sustaining this like the entire way through. In some cases, it's actually going up. So yeah, the clear on these Spectres is very good, and they're pretty tanky. You're pretty tanky all around. The build's a lot of fun to play. Haven't had too many deaths. Basically, all of my deaths have been just straight one-shots from like random explosions or like deliriums or something like that. I did die once also to El Hezeman because he has really big chaos damage, and at the time I didn't have positive chaos res, so he like one-shot me at one point as well. But again, other than just straight one-shots, any small amounts of damage like this, where you're taking like little hits and you're sustaining it over time, this build has absolutely no problem dealing with that. It can just regen straight through. So that's all I'm going to say about this, and yeah, you can continue watching the Xoph run if you like. The boss kill is at the end.